the biological sex of the inhabitants as well. Due to life expectancy, women live longer, for example.
And Mexican women even longer. I like the little cane, that really makes it clear. What's up everyone? It is Vanessa from Wander Onwards back with another financial fluency video. Today we're talking about something super sexy, pensions. So great, so sexy. And to help me out, I have here my friend Martina, who is well qualified to talk about this. Martina, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Martina and I work as a financial advisor. I'm one of the co-founders of Horbach Expats. And today I'm here to talk to you about one of my favorite topics.
Pensions.
Best topic ever. It's as creative, as flexible as it gets, and it's one of the topics that affects every single one of us because we're all going to grow old at some point.
Yeah, no matter how much Botox I put in my face.
And we really need to do something about it. Like, it's really important as an expat. We have bigger gaps, and this is what we do in our daily life. I keep on seeing clients with lots of issues, thinking, concerned about what is it that they have, is it enough, and how to go about it. And we're hoping to shed some light onto this in today's video.
Exactly, and have confidence in knowing that we are also internationals. Like, we have been living in different countries, we will likely continue to move, so that's why we thought it would be so important to create content like this for us, by us, etc., etc. And for those of you who might be new to pensions, Martina, what is a pension exactly?
Well, it is a provision for old age. So when you stop working, this income replaces your current normal income that you have during your work life.
And when you accumulate wealth in a pension, you typically have different options. You have state, you have employer funded, you have self-elected pensions. What are the difference between the main types of pensions?
That's a wonderful question. So when we talk about pension, we need to talk about wealth management. And wealth management has two sides of the coin. As we saw in our previous video, you talk about asset allocation and asset management. So it's not an either or situation between just the options you described, which are pension insurances in Germany concretely, but also the mixture between midterm assets such as property, alternative investments, institutional investments, and market investments. It's the combination of them that is going to account for the total wealth that you have for then replacing your income in the future in different scenarios. And the differences between the different pension assets and the pension insurances is what we're going to look at in today's video.
Cool. Think of it kind of like a cappuccino. You're going to have milk, you're going to have coffee, and you're going to have some foam. Depending on how strong your pensions are, they will play different roles in that cappuccino. And we're gonna look at it from a really relatable example, and we're gonna add some case study examples so you can find a little bit of yourself in this video. But as always, this is not financial advice. This is purely education, so you can make your own decisions with a licensed professional. Like Martina, potentially. She is my wealth manager, so I'm so happy to have her here today. Los Gates.
Pleasure to be here.
So what do we have here?
The foundation of understanding why pensions are an issue in Germany.
Okay, and even though we're specifically talking about Germany, can this replicate in other parts of the world?
Yes, there are many different countries in the world with a similar demographic situation as Germany does have. In particular in those countries where there is no statutory pension in place, when there's no support coming from the state in any way, even more particularly important to pay attention to what this looks like for you.
Confused about what to do with your money abroad? Well, I can help with that. My financial fluency course will give you the perfect overview of how taxes work, budgeting methods, investing options, and so much more. Check the description for details.
So let's look at the demographics first then.
So demographics, basically, like put simply, is what's happening with the population of this country in the long term. And obviously there's a difference between the biological sex of the inhabitants as well. Due to life expectancy, women live longer, for example.
And Mexican women even longer.
So we as women have to plan more, for example. Those are some details on that. But let's take a look at what is happening in Germany. So one of the first values is natality rate. So how many babies are being born? What is happening or has been the tendency over the last years?
Can I assume that not a lot of babies are being born in Germany?
Natality rate has been declining. So there, as Vanessa mentioned on a different video that we did, the state is trying to foster people having children so that they can keep the system alive. How the system works, we'll take a look in a second. And life expectancy, do people live longer now than they did 20 years ago?
Probably. We got that typhoid under control finally.
Yes, despite all the best efforts of the people not vaccinating their children, at the moment we have people living longer, and longer for a longer period of time, and more people living longer. And in the further education, we also have a third factor, which is how competitive the market has got. And so it has gotten a lot more competitive, which means that people educate themselves longer.
Yep.
Which means that they join the workforce later.
Especially in Germany. It seems like because of free education, people are choosing to study longer, become more targeted specialists, so they are in the workforce later, which then impacts the pension system in a different way.
Additional to this, I'm going to use right here to mark the differences that an expat has.
Ooh, yes.
So this is the situation of society in Germany. We have less people being born, more older people living longer, and people joining the workforce later. Additionally to this, we have, as an expat, we have fragmentary pension.
Fragmentary pension. Sounds complicated, but it's easy. Martina, what does that mean?
That means that because we live in so many different countries and contribute to so many different systems, we have a bit here and there, but we never have, it's collecting crumbles of different pieces of cake, but you don't have the full cake.
Yeah.
And this is a very big issue, and especially when it comes to the compatibility of the assets. So how well do they combine together? So do you have a piece of strudel, one piece of vanilla cake, and one piece of goulash? Not necessarily the best and most tasty combination for most people. So in this case, how does this work? And why is this relevant? So how does this affect you personally?
Yeah. Why should you care?
Also, we have for expats, we have high qualified labor, so we have self-employment, or so lots of expats end up working as self-employed employment, or also we have high earners.
That's absolutely true. A lot of countries actually have income thresholds to be sponsored for a work visa, and so those income thresholds might be above the average that people typically have, so they're not taking jobs away from locals that are less qualified or educated to do the more common jobs that are available in that country.
And because we are the high qualified labor occupying the spots, and a lot of the migrants and expats coming to Germany are occupying that, we fall under this bracket. So the self-employment and the high earners, we have a greater gap in society. Even if they were born and raised Germans, the gap is even greater here, because you're either not part of the system and have the responsibility to take care of this, or also the high earners as well, higher living standards, but the state goes only to a threshold. So there's not enough either to cover for you.
Yeah.
So what does this mean? This means that in a system, basically, if we look at the demographics in the past, brought to the extreme, it used to look like this, then it became like this, and today it's more like this. So we used to have enough young people and less older people. Then the natality rate went down and people started living longer, so it's got taller. If you look at this pyramid for demographics, we're going to show a picture on this.
We'll pop it on now.
And then here, now you can see that it's a very narrow base with a very, very thick bottom. And this leads to issues with the statutory system, because in Germany, we have the great privilege that we have a social system. Meaning that the younger generation currently working, so the employees of today, are paying together with their employer out of their salary, both together, 18.6% of their salary per month. Oof. Quite a lot of money.
Quite a lot of money, yeah.
Up to a specific threshold, depending on where in Germany they live.
True.
And this is going into this common pot called the Statutory Pension.
You might want to let people see it a little bit, your beautiful drawings. There we go.
The Statutory Pension.
Yeah.
And the current generation of employees is paying into this bucket. Specific professions, for example, have an extra separate bucket. This is also a case. and we have a generational contract in Germany, which means that the younger generation of employees pays for the current generation of pensioners.
I like the little cane, that really makes it clear. So going back to Martina's example of how fewer people are having babies, there are fewer employees to pay into this pot that then is distributed amongst the older generations that live on the state pension. So, in summation, we're in trouble.
The system is at a deficit.
Yes.
So it is great that we do have a system, but because, again, not enough employees, but also employees joining later, and now particularly for expats, and also people living longer, right? We need to sustain this for a long period of time. The issue that this has also for expats is really the fragmentary pension, because there are qualifying periods, depending if you worked in Europe or just in Germany. How long does it take for you to even qualify for these benefits?
Yep.
And then also that high earners or self-employed people also inevitably have to do even more here in this area so that they are well provisioned. So what this means for you personally is, even if you worked your entire lives in Germany, if you're born and raised German, you have a gap. You have a gap because it doesn't suffice, it's not guaranteed in any way, and there's a letter that people who have qualified themselves for a system get every year called the Renteninformationen, information on your pension. We can show it.
It will pop up now.
And this part basically, you can see that there's a paragraph here. So basically the government is sending you a letter, and it goes like this. So Vanessa, here's a letter.
Thank you for my letter.
Look at how much pension you will potentially have in the future. How does it sound for you?
It sounds like I have to give up my daily brunch and yoga, unfortunately.
But you do have some money there, right?
Just a little bit, yeah.
You have a little bit, okay. Have you read the fine print there?
No, I haven't, because my ASFI is not good enough.
So there's this beautiful paragraph here. So basically, I'm the state, I'm giving Vanessa here a letter and telling her, hey, great, you have a pension, look at that, beautiful. Continue to contribute as you're going, keep on going, it's gonna be great. But, and then comes this paragraph, right? And this paragraph is telling you, please take additional pension because demographics in Germany are not in the best shape, because prospectively the wages and the gap will continue to increase, and also because of inflation, right? Your money is not protected against inflation, so it really you're gonna need a lot more money than you think.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And if you want that expat flexibility of maybe going to a different country, the cost of living will potentially be even higher there. So as expats, we really need to prepare with multiple options to supplement the government pension that we might be getting. But we're not guaranteed unless we stay long enough and have enough points.
Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.